Welcome to the Point of Focus Podcast. Jaire's back to talk everything into reality.
We'll be back every week, all season long.
With your host, Jeremy Piccott.
Focusing only on things that we want to get bigger in our lives.
Made by coaches and collaborators coming together for the purpose of co-creating.
Enjoy or join the in-depth discussion, information, and how-tos.
Stay tuned for another episode of the Point of Focus Podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Point of Focus podcast. In today's episode, we're extremely pleased to have Goldyn Duffy from the Life Goldyn Podcast. She's here to share mind training and how to use the law of attraction realistically so that you can live an epic life experience. Ladies and gentlemen, Goldyn Duffy.
Hello. So excited to be here.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be talking with you.
Yay. Yeah, this is my favorite subject ever, and I could probably talk about it forever.
All right. So could I, actually. So
right?
This should be pretty good.
Okay,
So
good.
What's your story? How did you come to realize that the law of attraction existed?
So I actually, in 2008, when all the financial stuff was happening, my husband owned a huge remodeling business. So we were doing like $3 million a year. And overnight, it got wiped out. Like literally nothing was coming in. Everyone shut down their projects. And, we were living at that point. We had 4 kids, big house, cars. Our monthly bills were about $15,000. And we were both just like, what are we going to do? So in an attempt to figure out how to just bring in income, I had been a stay-at-home mom for about 16 years at that point, 15 years at that point. And we started looking at me like what I could do to kind of help, because my husband was still trying to get jobs, still trying to do something with that. We actually found a network marketing company called Send Out Cards, which was like an online greeting card and gifting business where you can send real greeting cards from your computer. I was not a card sender, so I didn't understand it. But as I grew with the company, I started to realize what you send out is what you get back. So every day I would wake up and appreciate people. And then I was seeing these amazing things happen, like miracles. Like people would call and say, I was having the worst day ever. I was going through so much trauma in my life. And then I got your card and it gave me hope. So I thought, wow, this is magical. There's something really magical about this. So we got super involved in that company. We are no longer with them. Like we still get residuals from that because we built a big team. But over the course of time, the law of attraction became something we started playing with. And we were going through so much financial struggle. I mean, bankruptcy, cars repossessed, our house foreclosed on, which our house being foreclosed on, it took 5 years that we didn't pay our mortgage. This will blow a lot of people's minds. And I just kept seeing paperwork like shuffled, like they're not taking my house. And my intention was, they will never take my house. I will give it back. And that was exactly what happened. We went through a lot of credit score issues and things like that we have completely recovered from. We moved across the country. We sold everything we owned and moved from Connecticut to California, which was like our lifelong dream. No house, no jobs, nothing. We had 1 car, 2 kids and 2 cats, and just took this giant leap of faith. I think we had $20,000, which we had set a really strong intention to have $20,000. And we had never been able to save money before. Plus we were going through all this financial struggle. And then all these miracles started happening. My husband got great jobs. We were selling our furniture, like every day money was coming in. And I've seen this work so many times, and I've refined it now to the point where I watch energy. So I put an intention out, and then I don't do anything until I feel like an activation or I see a clue. Sometimes people sit too long in waiting. And I think it took us 4 years to move to California. And I think we sat in a lot of waiting. And the thing that really broke us from like being stuck in our life experience was we had gotten a notice that they were going to definitely foreclose on the house, which they weren't. They didn't foreclose for another 6 months after we left. And at that point, I was like, why are we letting the bank determine our fate? Like, why are we not? So we booked plane tickets And that was the biggest leap I think we've ever made, where we were like, we're burning the boats. Like, this is it. We're going to go for it. Failure was not an option. There were times where we looked like we were going to fail, but we just refused. And you can't fail if you just refuse to fail. So we just kept going. And now we live in an amazing 4-bedroom, fully furnished house. We had no furniture. And as I refine this law of attraction, universal law stuff, I'm finding mind training is a huge piece of it. Working on your emotions is another piece. Healing the things that are creating havoc in your life. And it's stopping the cycle of the mind and the mind's ability to recreate the same story over and over again. So it's like reclaiming that power.
Go a little more into that. So like thought patterns?
Yeah. So we have 60,000 thoughts a day. Most of those are entrenched in what happened yesterday or 20 years ago, or worries about the future. So the biggest piece of mind training is, can you get really present? Because presence is where everything is created from. So in quantum physics, they call it zero state awareness. So I'm a huge advocate of meditation. I don't love calling it meditation because a lot of people go, oh, I can't meditate. It's quieting your mind. So it's dropping into your body and leaving the mind to do whatever the mind's going to do. So you're still going to have thoughts, but it's a practice. So people think, oh, I can't do it, but it's a practice, like going to the gym and making your muscles strong. You have to get your mind strong. So once you get into that space where there's nothing, and it only lasts a couple of seconds usually, I've gotten pretty good at it where I can even do it driving. Like I can just be really clear. When quantum physics calls it zero state awareness, that's where everything is created from. So you are clearing the slate of everything from before, and now you have all the power to create. But if we're in these old patterns of thought and old patterns of emotion, we don't really have a lot of devices to change things. And that's why most people don't change their lives.
Well, because they stay stuck in the past because that's what they're thinking of.
Exactly. And that's what the mind is always going to keep you safe and the same. So anytime you try to go out of your comfort zone, the mind is going to tell you exactly why that's a bad idea. And out of your comfort zone is where all your expansion and growth comes. That's where your faith is grown. That's where you up-level your frequency, you up-level your vibration. It's not from sitting there thinking about what you want to do and feeling miserable that you don't have it.
Wow. So how would you overcome a mind that doesn't want you to grow?
You know what? It's probably one of our biggest challenges as human beings, because we've never been taught this. Our mind has been allowed to run wild our whole lives. So I started meditating about 20 years ago because of a girl who came to a play group, and she was so calm and I was so frazzled. I had 2 teenagers and 2 toddlers at the time. And I was trying to make it to playgroup at 9 o'clock in the morning after getting people to school. I was completely like, my nerves were just frayed. And she walked in just this aura of peace. And I was like, what drugs are you taking? Like, what are you doing? And she said, oh, I started a meditation class. And I was like, sign me up. And it has literally changed the mother that I am, the wife that I am, the friend that I am. It's changed every aspect of my life. So people think, 15 minutes a day of just sitting there, what's the point? The point is you've got to create the space to become at choice. When you create space and you can rise above your thoughts and go, do I want to think that thought? Is that thought going to bring me what I want or what I don't want? Or you can feel that misery that thought evokes and you can stop it. You have all the power in that moment. But people are so swept into the mind and the minutia and then, just the onslaught of thoughts that most people think they have no control over it. Most people think they are their thoughts, and you are not. You are not.
Absolutely. Would you say that they're even addictive?
Completely. Thoughts and emotions are addictive. And the reason why emotions are addictive, thoughts are neural pathways. So we have all these, I always like the analogy of like, if you ever grew up with people that put their dogs on leads and they would have a doghouse, this was like old time stuff we used to do, like put the dog out at the doghouse, and it would like give that well-run path, right? From running around the doghouse as far as the leash would let it go. That's what our neural pathways are. They're these well-run paths. They're really easy for us to drop into. And then I call it the roller coaster ride. Once you get on the ride, you're going for the ride. Once you get on the ride, then you have emotions that pop up, and the emotions download chemicals and hormones in your body. And that's what becomes addictive. We get addicted to drama. We get addicted to stress because we've got adrenaline going through. It makes us feel alive, right? If we're stressed out, we're alive. So it's a matter of breathing through that. I do a lot of journaling. I do a lot of release work. I go in, I ask myself what's going on when I feel these emotions. And then I ask myself, can I release this? Is this an addiction, or is this something that I need to heal? If you look at every experience in your life as a reflection to what you have going on within, you will win. Because then when you ask yourself, when you no longer blame and you're no longer a victim, and you say, where is my stuff in this? Then you can clean up your stuff. And when you clean up your stuff, everybody reflects that to you. And then you become so powerful because you're not living life in a triggered state, and you're not living from wounds and addictions to emotions.
Yeah. And you're not just reacting and overreacting to everything that happens to you.
Exactly. You're more powerful than that. You're not a victim to the emotions, because emotions can be so powerful. Our emotions can be so powerful, especially if we haven't done any work on them. They can just run. I remember yelling at my kids and being like, who is that person? Right. And just getting upset to the point where you're saying things you don't mean and you don't want to say them, but you feel like you have no control over it. So this is taking your control back. The mind training piece and working on your emotions is probably more effective than any universal law you can learn, because law of attraction it's always in play. But if you're not aware of how you're contributing to it, it doesn't really do you a lot of good. You'll just be like, I'm attracting all this crap and I don't even know how to stop it.
Yeah. Just a negative cycle you get stuck in.
Exactly. And the negative cycles sometimes are good because they bring awareness to what we need to work on. So, we've been taught that crying is bad and anger is bad. And to be honest, the whole emotional scale is really valuable if we can understand it and understand where our role is in it, and then figure out how to conduct energy in a more productive way. Because for whatever reason, we are trained to think of worst case scenarios. Like the worst of what, I don't want this. How many times do we say, I don't want to be late? I don't want to get sick. That was a big one in the last few years. I don't want this to happen. Like as soon as something happens, we go into, I don't want. And that is exactly what we end up creating, because that's what we're focused on, right? Point of focus. That's what we're focused on.
And there's no such thing as exclusion. So if you're focused on it, that's what's going to get bigger.
Totally. Yeah.
Right. Whether you're saying, I don't want that, or I do want that, you're still saying you're focusing on that.
Completely. I know I say that all the time. I'm like, really healthy people don't wake up every day and think about their health, right? Really wealthy people don't wake up. I mean, they may think about money, but they don't think about that like desperation of creating money the way somebody who needs money thinks. So you've got to get yourself into the abundance mindset and the health mindset if you want to create that and leave the other stuff behind, because that's all lack energy.
So would you say that learning how to climb the emotional scale and staying up there would make things come faster?
Definitely. But I do think I think there is an idea that if I'm just happy and if I'm just happy. So this is what was happening during 2009. My husband had let go of his construction business. So he wasn't doing it because it was just a nightmare. And we're just doing network marketing full time, which we had no business doing because we were not making the money. So we were in a lot of desperation. And we were, trying to work out this law of attraction thing. And we're reading these things that are saying, just get happy, just be happy, just go for a walk in nature. And our lives are crumbling around us. They're turning the electricity off and we're begging people both for money, because we're just like, we have no idea what we're doing. So there's an element to this where people think if I just get happy, but we can't get happy if we've got a ton of fear underneath. We weren't acknowledging our fear. We weren't acknowledging that every night we went to bed, we figured they were going to take our house away. We needed to acknowledge the fears and work through those and release them to up-level our faith and to go higher on the emotional scale. Now that I've got like more stability in my life, I can really look at every situation that comes to me. And I can ask myself, I'm doing this story stuff. So I'm like, okay, what is my story in this? So this is a good example. So my kids, I have 2 teenagers that still live with me. They're, not teenagers, 20 and 18. And they leave dishes like all the time. And we've had conversations around this. And, I'm busy and I'm doing things and I come home and then there's dishes. Okay. I have a choice in this because I've already stated what I need. It's not happening. So I can get upset about these dishes. I can yell from the bottom of the stairs, come do your dishes, right? Did that for a little while. Or I can do the dishes. And I can do the dishes in a way that has gratitude involved in this. This is like parenting, like above and beyond. Because most people say, well, they have to be responsible, right? Well, at this point in their lives, this is not it. They're not interested in that. So this is my 4th. I have 4 kids. So this is my 2nd go around. I can go, I'm so grateful and so happy that they are cooking and eating healthy. Like that feels so good to me. So that's where I'm going with because it's my deal. If I get miserable about the dishes in the sink, I'm ruining my life experience, not theirs. Well, actually it screws up the whole energy of the house. Because I get upset, I yell at them, I tell my husband, he gets upset. What is the point?
And all you had to do was reach for a better feeling thought.
That's it. And change the story around it. So the other night they woke me up because they had friends over and they were laughing downstairs. And I'm like, how could I possibly get angry at laughter? Like, who cares? A huge thing I've done with sleep recently, because I think a lot of people cause a lot of misery with sleep, is when you wake up in the middle of the night and you can't fall back to sleep. First of all, I'll lay on my back and I kind of get into a meditative state, which usually helps me fall back to sleep. But I always value being woken up in the middle of the night because I feel like there's something there, right? So I don't tally my sleep. I don't look at the time. I don't think about how much sleep I've lost. And then the next day I wake up very refreshed because I don't do that. Whereas a mom, I used to tally my sleep if my kids woke me up. Oh, I only got 3 hours of sleep last night. Like that is so detrimental to your health because you're telling your body you're tired. When if you're waking up in the middle of the night, your body needs you to be awake for some reason. You didn't need the sleep. So that has changed a lot as well. So it's just changing the story around everything, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. So now the human mind, like you already said, it has a tendency to go to the negative all the time. And I know that I've heard this because people come to me because I'm that calm person that people come to and talk to about this stuff. So people tend to get stuck on negative ones. Like you said, it's neural pathways. If there's a path that is just really carved, how do you take a new path and create a new story?
So the first thing you have to do is recognize the path. And then the second thing that I would do is always take it into meditation. So why does this keep happening for me? If you ask yourself questions, the problem is we're always asking everybody else, right? Why am I like this? Why am I doing this? And it's good because people have perspective. So that's good. But no one really knows your answers. Like energy workers, yes, maybe. But you're better off going within and saying, why is this showing up for me? And what does it mean for me? And what are the feelings underneath it? Because the feelings underneath it are so valuable. They often have, these emotional wounds attached to them that need clearing. If they're coming up, they need to be healed. And the way that I do healing work is just releasing energy from the body. So I'll ask myself, where is this in my body? And I'll find it usually. And I can feel this for other people as well. And then I just do some breathing work and ask for assistance because assistance is always there. Non-physical support, universal energy, whatever you like to call it, source, God. You ask for the assistance and say, I'm ready to release this. And then ask yourself, what do I want to feel? And what do I want to think? Because we have to interrupt these thoughts. And often we need something to grab. Like right now, my grab is, how can I change my story? That's my grab right now.
Okay.
Oftentimes I'll go, I don't have to think this thought right now. That's a good one. Just anything that can interrupt it and put you in a different vibration is going to help you to change the momentum. Because negative, positive, it's all got momentum involved in it. So the further you're down that path, especially if you have you got into a fight with somebody. My daughter recently just got into an argument with someone and it was really intense. And so I was just giving her things to grab onto, this is what you need to hold on to, because you got all this stuff coming up. Obviously you've got something to clear. Bullies don't bully people that are sure of themselves. Right. So clearing that means going in and looking at it. Most of us don't want to look at it. We want to be distracted. We want to push it away. I don't have time to feel that right now. This is 10 to 15 minutes of just sitting and asking and getting curious and then releasing it. I also really like guided meditations on YouTube that do chakra clearing, or like Joe Dispenza does a lot of clearing stuff with breathing, anything like that can assist you if you feel like you're too much in the thick of it yourself.
Gotcha. And especially as a male, we're not taught to deal with our feelings ever.
No.
Right. And it was a cool experience when I learned how valuable the emotions were and that I should be feeling instead of suppressing.
Yes.
Which only comes out when you realize that you've got anger that turned into rage, and now there's an awful lot of it inside of you. And then when I did start doing the energy work and all that stuff, it came out like a tidal wave. It was like a little balloon popped, and then it was like, just like all this stuff. And there's probably so much stuff that I could benefit from changing the story around.
Yeah. Yeah. And a lot of people are afraid of that. And I think that's what also keeps people from meditating or going on this journey of self-discovery. They're scared of what they're going to find. And, a lot of us had traumatic childhoods. I did myself. I don't know too many people that didn't, right. At least even little traumas, and people don't want to look at it because they think it's too big, but like what we resist persists, right? So if we're not looking at it, it's just like our fears underneath of losing our house. If we weren't looking at it, not really connecting with it, we weren't in our power. We were literally living like on the surface. So creating an epic life experience means you go deep, you go within, you find out who you really are, because when you know who you really are, you're going to live from your worthiness, you're going to live from your power, and you're going to live from your truth. And then your life is going to be epic. Wow.
So do you have like a system you take people through or anything?
Yeah. So when I do energy work, I will get people. So I used to just do law of attraction coaching. That's where I started. I was doing speaking engagements, networking events, things like that. And then I came to California and I had a woman who really trusted me. And I said, let's try this. And I had done energy work with other energy workers. And I was like, I can do this. Like, I just knew there was an intuition. So I started doing this meditation stuff, and then I started feeling stuff in my body. And that's when I started looking into chakras. I never did any study. The only thing I did was like Google to find out what they meant. That was it. But what I felt in my body was truth, and they felt the same thing. So I know what the chakras mean. I can intuitively tell you what's going on inside your body, and then I can move energy for people. And I believe people can do it themselves, but sometimes you're too close to the problem and you just need an outside perspective and maybe somebody who's on the intuitive line to give you information that you might not have access. I don't know. I get a lot of access to information, so I don't like to put a limitation on it and say, you have to work with somebody. It's helpful. I think we're supposed to co-create. I think we're supposed to support one another. So it's helpful. Is it necessary? I don't know. I've always reached out and worked with people because I have fun doing that too,
Absolutely. Well, every single question I've ever asked has always come back to me. right? So
Absolutely.
when I put it out into
yeah,
the
one way or another.
it always, every single time.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's amazing.
Yeah. Asking it is given, right?
One of my favorites.
Yeah.
I mean, Abraham Hicks has been a huge influence in my life.
Yeah.
I came to Taoism. Was the first thing that really changed my perspective on life, really.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you know too much about it, but it's just really acceptance was like the major underlying lesson that I got from Taoism. Yeah. And when you accept, the story shifts in your mind.
Yeah.
So
and in quantum physics, when you accept, so if you can imagine like the energy field, when you're in resistance, you're holding on, you're slowing the energy field down. So solutions can't come because you're in the problem. When you accept, you're like, you open up the energy field and you go, okay, I am where I am. It is what it is. And then that allows for co-creation of the universe to say, okay, they're open, they're ready to receive. And it changes the energy field. So absolutely. And I followed Wayne Dyer a lot. He talks about Taoism a lot.
Oh, is that right?
So yeah, acceptance is huge. It's like the first step in shifting the energy field.
And you mentioned receiving, like receiving mode. What gets somebody into the receiving mode instead of stuck, other than acceptance? Like, any tools that you know of?
Yeah. So meditation is the ultimate receiving mode because you're opening yourself up and you're clearing the field. The other part of receiving mode is letting go. So the mind loves to work on problems, right? Because it likes to feel useful. So we keep thinking like, how is this going to work? How am I going to figure this out? If you can create some space between the problem and just go, a lot of times what I'll do is I'm going to give this a couple of days. Let's just see where the energy goes. I do this a lot because if I'm attacking it and I'm desperate, that energy is it usually ends up being really hard. If something is really hard, it's time to let go because you're not allowing for the co-creation to happen, that partnership. You're like, if it's to be, it's up to me. And it works. It's just really hard. So when you let go and just say, I'm going to take a couple of days, I'm not going to do anything. We're also like, we want to attack everything, right? We want to fix everything, but you can't, I forget who said this. Maybe it was Albert Einstein. You can't fix the problem with the same energy that created the problem. So you have to get out of the problem, which means you have to let it go for a little while. If you're like super controlling, you can write down what you want to happen because writing is the strongest form of focus, and then let it go. And then just watch what happens because the energy will tell you the path of least resistance. And that takes patience. It takes patience and probably going against the grain of everything we've ever been taught.
And
right?
faith.
Yeah.
Faith that it's going to work.
Yes. Faith. It's a total up level in your faith and trust. There's a huge trust factor.
That's amazing. I just moved across the country too. And I did it without having a job. So when you told me that story, I'm like, oh man, that's like literally my life right now.
I love it. Yeah. A lot of faith building. We would not be the same people we are today if we didn't go through all that. I'm thankful for it, but I'm also thankful that part of our lives is over because it was dicey, you know?
But you got through it, right? Like everything you had, you needed.
Yeah. Okay. And everything led to something else, you know, like we came here with no job. My husband started working in LA, which was like a 3-hour commute. It was so silly for like barely enough money just because he needs to get in action. That's one of his things. He feels better when he's working. So after 3 or 4 days, they were going to start putting him up in a hotel. And we were both like, we didn't move here to do this. Like, we need to let this go. 2 days later, we met with someone and had coffee. They just wanted to talk to us. They saw us on Facebook. They loved what we were doing. And they ended up connecting my husband with a man who hired him and got us through like probably one of the hardest years of our life and just supported us and loved us, kind of paid us enough. Like every month, it was like it would work out, 11th hour stuff, it would work out. And we had miracles happen. I found $100 on the ground one day when I went to Trader Joe's, and I decided I was going to buy shrimp and langostinos, which were like $11. And I had $40 in my bank account, and I felt so good. I felt so abundant. I was like, I feel amazing. I'm going to buy what we, want to eat for dinner. I walked out and I saw $100 on the ground, and I came home and I said to my husband said to me, he goes, we're going to be fine. It was just like such a faith building thing. It was like $100. And my daughter was like, maybe somebody lost it. And I go, oh no, this like fell from the sky. Like I could feel, I literally looked up like, and we have so many stories like that. Yeah. So it's like, there's not too much that really shakes us as far as like money or finances, or it's money is energy. And the more abundance we feel, the more we will see evidence of it. And that was the trajectory of our last 6 years. And it just continues to build now, because now we are surrounded by abundance and we've got flow. And the challenge is doing it when you're not in it and feeling it before it's there. That's the challenge. And we would go to see the sunset at the ocean. We would do things that were free, that we just, be in nature, love our family. We just really worked from that realm instead of being like, this sucks and we don't have enough money to pay our bills.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. And I got a little story to share too, because when I decided to move across Canada, I didn't have a job, and I was like, you know what, we're going to figure it out. And a couple days before I left, I got switched job sites, and I was on my other buddy's job site, and I was like, hey man, I'm moving to Newfoundland. And he's like, oh, the foreman's from Newfoundland. I'm like, oh, no way. I go talk to the foreman. He's like, what are you doing for work? And I'm like, man, I have no idea. He's like, oh, my dad's a foreman. Go talk to him. And literally got to Newfoundland. Within 2 hours, I had that guy in front of me and I had a job.
That's a better story than ours, actually.
Well, it was an hour and a half away from where I was staying. So it's similar to your story. It wasn't 3 hours, but doing an hour and a half commute, 10 hours. And then I was like, okay, it's time to attract a new house.
Yeah. There you go.
Now I live closer.
Oh, I love that. And the thing is, it's like, it's that leap of faith that you have to take. It's like when you get a call, it's answering that call and taking that leap that lets all these things construct. Like, this is orchestration of the universe that would not be there if you were still sitting in the other state, wishing and hoping that you could move.
Oh, for sure. Because I wouldn't have said, hey, I'm moving to Newfoundland. The guy wouldn't have said, oh, I got a job for you, man.
No, you'd be thinking about it and thinking and wishing and hoping and being in the lack of it instead. Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's awesome. I love that story.
So, and then the little synchronicities are just like nonstop, one to the next. Right. And like entrepreneurial journey is a lot like that.
Yeah.
Like, you need to learn lead generation. Well, the perfect lead generation coach shows up. Oh, I need to learn sales. All of a sudden, the perfect sales coach shows up, right? I need to learn fulfillment. My buddy's like, oh, I got a fulfillment team if anybody wants. I'm like, sure.
I love it. I love it. And for me, I'm like, I really need to find like a nutrition plan that's going to work for me, that I understand. And then I talk to Jeremy.
There it is. Yeah.
I'm like, it's that easy, people, Yeah, you just got to focus on what you want. Let everything else go. I had to let go of the things that weren't working. And I think that's also a real testimony to life. If something in your life isn't working, you got to let it go to allow for something else. And most people just hold on for way too long. But luckily, even when you hold on for way too long, usually it just is taken away from you anyways. So I don't know. I would rather just pay attention and work with the energy than wait for things to get so bad.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I have a little example. I like to say a lot of people get confused with the law of attraction. They think that if I want a pizza, I can sit here and meditate and one's going to show up.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, pick up the phone, right? Like, we know the phone number. So like, there's an action phase to it as well. You have to line up with what comes along. Like, sure, my friend might bring me some pizza if I sit here and meditate for a while, but just order the pizza.
I think that was the message of The Secret. If you ever saw The Secret, and I think that was the disservice that The Secret did.
It was the missing piece, yeah.
Yeah. Well, they had the guy sitting there in the chair, visualizing the car, and then the car showed up in his driveway. And I think that that's where the disconnect comes in, is people, yes, energetic conduction is strong. Visualization, feeling into your visualization is so strong. But then you've got to pay attention to what's going on. And sometimes you have to even take action before you're aligned, because this is why sitting and waiting has a lower frequency than taking some sort of action and getting yourself out there. Because when you get yourself out there, you're opening yourself up to all different opportunities rather than sitting in your house and thinking that somebody's going to knock on the door with a pizza.
Yeah, I like that. I have a different little analogy that's very similar to that, but I think would go nicely with it. It's like sitting in a car full of gas and just not starting to drive, but you just drive it, and then we can guide you as you start driving. But if you're going to sit there forever,
you're not going
anywhere. Get anywhere. Right? You might get to the wrong spot 3 times if you start driving, but you're gonna get.
But at least during the drive, you activated anticipation, you activated excitement, you activated the potential of getting to where you wanted to go, instead of sitting in the car and being like, I don't like being in fear, right? Or confusion.
That's it.
It's like, just do something.
Do something.
Do something. Yeah.
So I like to say this to people: if you could plant one seed in my mind with the intent of me focusing on it and it getting bigger, what would be your seed? What seed would you plant in my mind?
Oh, so many. The very first one that popped up is you are a powerful creator. And you are so worthy. Like, you are so worthy of greatness and abundance. You know, I always look at successful people or really wealthy people, and I think to myself, you know, do they have something that I don't have? And I like to share this with people too, because I've done a lot of things in my life, and I've taken a lot of chances. And I'm like, why would this be reserved for me? Why would this be reserved for this person? We all have the potential. We all live in the same energy field. So in order for us to create the way someone else has created, we have to believe we're worthy. And we've got to stop putting ourselves in a place of less than and comparing ourselves to other people, being jealous of other people, and just trust that we live in the same energy field and we have the same potentials. We have greater potential even.
Awesome.
Because we
so
know
they can do it,
stuff.
I can do it too.
Exactly. Yes, because they're in your fields. You know, we live in a really, really abundant area, and I look at all these beautiful cars. I love cars like Bentleys and Rolls Royces and Maseratis. And I'm like, they're all in my field, you know?
Nice.
And I drive a nice car. It's not like, I manifested a Mercedes, so I don't drive, but it's just that potentiality of the field is so exciting and awesome if you can put yourself in that frequency.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Amazing. A couple more questions. Well, yeah. Tell me more about your podcast.
All right. So I started the podcast because I couldn't keep this stuff to myself anymore. I felt like I was going to explode, you know, after 2 years of being home and just feeling like I had so much to offer. I just decided I was going to start my own podcast, and it's called Life Goldyn, which basically is like the elements to living life to your greatest potential, living your most epic life experience, taking chances, you know, living in faith, trust. There's a huge mind training piece, and I have 51 episodes, which I can't believe. I've literally talked to myself for 51 hours, like just sitting in my house, just letting it fly and sharing the elements of what has really drastically and radically changed the life I live, where I live in joy most of the time. And if I'm not in joy, I'm doing the work to get there. So I'm not in resistance to the lower emotions. I value them, but I work through them much more quickly than I ever did before. So the podcast was a part of me just sharing who I am, my family. I interview part of, you know, some of my family members. I haven't gotten them all on there yet, but I will. And I think this year I'm going to be interviewing some other people, because I think that it's time to kind of unleash this, and the people that assist and support my life in what is making my life super successful. So I love it. Like I said, I can talk about this forever. I do some group coaching. I'm going to start doing some live workshops because, again, like once you know this stuff, you don't want to keep it for yourself. And even just hanging out and spending time with people for a little bit of time, if you can shift their reality, if you can shift their belief system, if you can just give them a little shift in their energy fields, they'll go, oh my gosh, I feel better. And I can do this myself. You can change their whole life experience. And I love that.
You can make them better from dis-ease.
Everything, right? Everything.
100%.
Yeah.
Awesome. Is there anything else you'd like to share with us?
And my book just popped into my mind. So I have a book called Quantum Speak. It's on Amazon. And I have a book for parents called Quantum Speak for Parents. And that's about the Quantum Speak is about to come out on audio and ebook. So that's been a few years, but that's like the science and spirituality of creating. And it's a little bit of our manifestation stories to how we got to California and the miracles that happened, which will blow your mind. And a lot of people that have read that book, it's a short book. It's like 85 pages, 2.5-hour read, super easy to digest. A lot of people that have read it have had miracles happen because it does something to the energy field. It puts you in a different frame of like trusting the universe and going, if this happened to this person, then I have the potential to create as well.
It's so funny.
Yeah.
My hair, I don't know if you can see this or not, but I have goosebumps like crazy.
Do you?
Because in the background, it says follow your dreams. And then it's got a huge tube. And my dream is to be near the beach on a surfboard in a tube. So,
okay, so this is the cover of my book.
No way.
I swear, I'm going to mail it to you. I have to mail you my book.
Okay, well, I'll
seriously.
buy it. So,
this is so good. And you know what? I have a really hard time self-promoting, which I'm getting over. But when my book popped up, I was like, really? You're going to talk about your book?
Absolutely.
But you asked. So there you go. So yeah, there you go.
So yeah, follow my dreams and I could be in that too.
I love it. Yeah, that's super cool. And funny that you mentioned it right when I mentioned my book. That's amazing. Yeah, and that's the wave. So this is the reason why I chose this for my book cover is because that's the quantum wave of energy. So when we have a thought, it comes out into a wave. And as we like believe and trust and have faith, that wave breaks down, becomes particles and becomes matter. But most of us will take the wave and we'll pull it back and we'll just be like, it's not happening. This can't happen for me. And that's science. That's how I dumb down the science.
Amazing. I love it.
Love it. This was so fun.
That was, yes. I've enjoyed every second.
Cool. Amazing.
Thank you so much. I will definitely check out that book. I can't wait.
Yeah, I'm mailing it to you. Just send me your address. It's yours.
Yeah. Well, is it on Amazon?
It is. Yeah. If you want to get it quicker, do it that way.
Yeah, I'll go with that route.
Yeah, I don't know how long it would take to get to you. I don't even know where you are. You're so far.
Pretty far. Yeah.
So waves, we're talking waves. Where do you want to live?
Well, I had Florida in my mind.
Okay.
California as well. I actually just did a search on union wages for carpenters, and California has the highest per hour of all North America.
Well, I might know somebody, especially if you're good. Oh, my husband. Yeah. He could use some good people. Let's just put that out there. Yeah.
I'm a licensed journeyman for the union.
That's amazing.
Been doing it 8 years, and I could afford a plane ticket.
This could be worth the conversation. I got all this energy in my heart. So you just never know what's going to happen, right?
Right. Yeah. Next Tuesday, I'm in that wave. Oh my God.
Jeremy's here. He's ready for work.
Yeah. What's that?
I love it. You know what? We never know we just don't. And this is the thing, like when life shows you a path, it's like, why not follow it? What is your ability to follow something opposed to not following it? Is living the same thing over and over again, or living something amazing, expanded, and epic? And yes, there's fear, and yes, there's stuff that happens, but you're never going to show yourself if you just sit there and think about it.
Right. And then, you missed
Amazing. Out. Cool. Yay.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, I'm going to send you my resume. I got to buy your book.
All right. Yeah. We got some good stuff going on.
There we go.
You're going to straighten out my nutrition. We've got a plan for a lot of things. Yeah. Beautiful.
Thank you so much, Goldyn. Where do people find you?
So I'm on Facebook at Goldyn Duffy, which is Goldyn Duffy. You can follow me on Instagram at Live Life Goldyn. My website is livelifegolden.com. My podcast is on Spotify, but if you go to my website, all of my podcast episodes are there and you can subscribe through the website, and I'm on YouTube, so you can watch it as well. Awesome. And that's Live Life Goldyn channel.
Live Life Goldyn?
Yeah. Yes, totally.
It's my favorite color.
Beautiful. I love it. Yay.
And my logo.
I like it.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much. And thank you, everybody, for listening.
Yeah. Peace.
Have a good one.
You too.